certain pay level. We compromised a little on that, but I don't think it necessarily resulted in a less quality personally retiring.
Right.
However, if that was your philosophy from year to year, and you didn't have a strong mentoring program or professional development program, you'd be digging a hole for your school
Right.
system. It was something we put in place last year to try, because we had only so much money to use to bring in staff, and we did get more staff for our buck because of that effort, but certainly it wouldn't be wise to repeat it year after year. And Dr. Manville is working on this year's budget, and that's the way he's chosen to go, putting a cap on budgets with the individual schools. Of course, we won't be hiring new positions, we will be hiring new staff based on retirements. Anyone else? Another question? Marcy?
Yes, I have questions regarding Chapter 70 and what the state Chapter 70 number might turn out to be. I know that there's some difference of opinion, if you will, between maybe FinCom and the Board of Selectmen and the school committee. Have you, the school committee or the superintendent, spoken perhaps with Representative Jones or Senator Tarr's office to ask what the basis, the basis number for Chapter 70 is for FY11? And then also, have you within the district calculated what our foundation should be for next year to make the case that, that should be our starting point, and any district starting point for that matter?
We do not have an answer yet, although I have certainly put out the phone call, and it's only Monday. I'm expecting that we'll get a return call this week. And here is the issue we have. North Reading's Chapter 70 dollars last year would have been $6 million, but that was below foundation. We should have been $6.8 million. And so the governor supplemented, gave us the additional $800,000 to bring us to foundation through stimulus funding that he had access to, not the same stimulus money that we have access to locally. There were probably 24 communities that were identified in the state as being below foundation. It's not a very great place to be, but we did get the biggest chunks of money. So now the question is, when we talk about level funding Chapter 70, are we talking about 6.8 million, or are we talking about 6 million?
And we've assumed 6.8 million for most of our calculations.
Right. And that's what the
right
governor
now, for level
proposed in
funding.
his budget.
And I understand that,
Right.
the difference of opinion, but I
So
guess I'm
when we
wondering-
talk about putting together the town's revenue picture, and the conservative approach is to take a 4% cut in local aid, are we talking 6.8 million less 4%? Are we talking 6 million less 4%? Well, currently, the revenue recap sheet that the town is working with has slotted us for 5.4 million.
Right, but 10%,
6.
10% of 6
From
million.
6 million. So certainly that number will go away and the picture will brighten a little bit, but we will still have this question between 6 million and 6.8 million. If the governor doesn't have access to stimulus funds to supplement that budget, where will he get the extra 800,000? I personally don't care where he gets it, because we should all be at foundation. It should be a level playing field for every school district. It's what, the powers to be of the state has decided the starting point would be. And from there, you can only go up. So I certainly don't want to accept anything below that. I mean, we were so fortunate, 24 towns were so fortunate to finally get to that place that everybody else was at. So I think they should find the money. So-
Everything
Yeah,
coming
and I
out of
guess-
everything coming out of the State House says, this was today, this was Friday, says you should plan on a 4% cut on what the governor proposed in his January budget. That's what everything that I have heard coming out of the State House.
Yeah,
And they're
they're very
adamant about it.
adamant.
I think that 4% is gonna be real. I'm hoping that the 6.8 million is real.
And the 4% may be conservative, but the chances are it isn't.
Yeah, and I've been following it very closely, but the governor's budget said 6.8.
Eight,
Yes.
right.
Right.
So
6.8 million for us. Reading, Brad Jones' recap that he sent out when the governor's budget came out, both Reading and North Reading and Brad's districts received, I think Reading received like $1 million increase, and we received an $800,000 increase, and the other 4 or 5 towns in his district were level funded from last year.
Have you, foundation changed based on?
Yes.
Economic enrollment
Mhm.
factors
Yes.
and other factors?
Yeah.
Have you calculated what our
I
foundation
don't
should
have
be
the
this year?
calculation now.
I know it's a very
No.
complex
Yeah.
calculation.
Yeah,
It
it's
would
one.
be good to know.
Cliff, could
Yes,
you do
and
that
they
in the
don't
next
have-
five
Cliff,
minutes?
please, come on.
I don't
Do that
recall.
calculation.
I don't recall. I can tell you
You're not on
that
trial.
foundation budget is typically about 75% of what people have to spend to educate the kids in the town. So it's
Right.
well behind where it should be, and that's why there's that needs study that has to be done.
And according to folks at MASC, who we would go to, because they would have that to distribute, all the components that are necessary to put into that formula are not ready yet. And those numbers will be coming out right around the beginning of April.
So, but your question is obviously very important, because if it's 6 million we're starting with, and that would really put us in a hole. And if you take 4% off that, you're down to 5,740,000. Even if you take 4%, if you take 4% off the 6.8 million, you're dropping another 272,000. 4% of 6 is 272,000. So you're down to 6,528,000.
It's one reason I really object to across the board cuts like that. There are some towns that are above foundation.
Right.
So they may take a 4% hit and still stay above foundation. We will go below. And that just doesn't sit well with me.
And some of those communities are subject to a 17.5% constraint, which means that they always end up by getting some money, which is a reasonable thing, I guess, but sometimes they don't need it.
But certainly, to just help with the picture a little bit, our teachers took a very generous, or they helped us with our budget. But I gotta let you know that the police department, in effect, they took a pay cut last year.
Huge pay cuts, a lot of the police officers. with that
Because
Quinn
of
bill.
because of the Quinn bill, when the state reneged on funding its portion, it just went unpaid. So certainly we have other areas in our town that are also taking reductions, and absolutely, we have leadership in this town that has demonstrated their support for our schools. Our split now, which a few years ago, we were fighting for 60-40, is 66-34. There is a commitment to help us get to our level services budget. I don't know how that's gonna happen yet, but the commitment is there. It's not a school versus general government thing, and it's not this town employee group versus that town employee group. We're not back to those days, but there's still a lot of work to do.
I understand that. Just a quick comment on the second question. There's no question that there's the commitment to get to level services. The question is there the dollars? And you can't print money that's not there, and that's why the local aid and the Chapter 70 is so critical. And if I could ask a follow-up question, and this speaks to something that Pam said, that compared to other districts, we're falling behind, or other districts are moving ahead while we're sort of staying in status quo.